everybody, Steven here. Today I'm going to showcase 3 different exercises that I have one of my clients do 2 separate ways that we use this. One is a warm-up before activity. So I actually have him do 1 round of all of this to just kind of warm up the knee before he goes outside and mows the lawn or does anything that he's going to do outside. Or we use this for kind of a post-rehab medical exercise group of exercises that we'll do not just for 1 round, but more for 3, maybe even 4. So we're actually just at that point working more on strength training for the knee itself. So with this, we're using a combination of the medical exercise and post-rehab that I'm certified in and functional range conditioning. And I'll put a link for functional range conditioning. That's a mobility modality. And the first thing that we're actually going to do is their knee CAR, which CAR stands for controlled articular rotation. You don't need to know the kind of the finer points of what CARs are, but the big thing here that you do need to understand is that we're showing the knee its full range of motion, right? So with this, if I haven't really been moving my knee much and I get up and I go do a bunch of activity here, it doesn't know its full capabilities for the day. I haven't shown it that, so it's starting with a smaller range of motion. So showing it its full range of motion is the first thing that we're gonna do here. So in terms of equipment that you're gonna need before this though, a band would be nice, but if you don't have it, when we do get to something that we're gonna use it for called terminal knee extensions, I'll show you another variation where you could use a pillow, a rolled up towel, something like that to kind of get the same effect with this. Other than that, if you did have a slide pad, that's awesome. If not, you could actually end up doing the knee CAR second variation on any type of surface where at least your foot can move, whether that's wood floors, tile, or something like that, where you could put maybe a hand towel underneath it. Or if you're barefoot and you actually do it on carpet, it actually will kind of do the same thing as well with this. So first thing, we have the knee CAR here. I'm gonna show the standing variation of this. So as I'm standing, I'm gonna bring my knee up. I'll be 45-ish degrees. I'm gonna pull my foot as far back as I can, so this will be flexion. I'm gonna tilt my foot out or in as far as I can. From here, I'm gonna slowly extend my knee, and as I do, I'm looking at my kneecap because I don't want my kneecap to move. I'll pull back in, I'll exchange sides, I'll slowly straighten, looking at my kneecap so it doesn't move, and then I'll pull in. If you can't straighten all the way out, with that same level of whatever amount you've tilted. So if I go here and I start to go all the way out and then my leg rolls with it, don't force that. You may find that as you straighten your leg, the angle that you can keep your foot has to diminish a little bit. That's okay, right? So keep in mind that the knee itself does have some rotation to it. My tibia and my fibia, my shin bones here actually can rotate, which is what you're seeing here. My knee itself up here with my femur is staying still, but this is rotating, and that's what we're showing the body. What it ends up making is kind of an oval, okay? So once again, I'm here, I pull back as far as I can, I tilt the foot out, I'm looking at my kneecap here so that I straighten slowly, and this doesn't move, and it doesn't roll, right? I come out, kneecap's there, tilt in, kneecap still there, pull in. Notice that my foot is always flexed up also. I'm not tilting my foot down, it's always flexed and I'm rotating one side or the other, okay? The second question I typically get with this when I show it to my clients is, can I do the exchange of the foot at the top? Meaning I'll start here, tilt out, I'll go here, and then I'll rotate this way, and then I'll pull in. You absolutely can, but it's harder. So that exchange at the top, it needs a lot more control. And for a lot of people, when they start this, they don't have that control. So if I bring my foot back here and start, that compression of my knee here makes it so that that tilting in and out of the foot is easier to do without my knee moving. So the reason that is important is if I'm rolling my knee like this, the head of my femur here, right, is actually moving inside the hip socket here. And I don't want this to move, I want this to stay still, and I just want this to move. Just like that, okay? So that's the first standing variation. We're gonna go over to the slide pad, and I'm gonna show you the secondary version with this. This one's a little bit more complicated for the setup, but if you can do it, it's a really, really good way to activate the hamstring on this pull. So let's jump over to the slide pad. All right, so the second variation here, I have a slide pad. Like I said, if you have a hard surface in your house, wood floors, tile floors, you can do it there, and you could put a hand towel on the ground so that it slides, or you could use your sock. On carpet, typically if you're barefoot, it'll slide pretty well with that, but you can create your own ways with this as well. As long as it can slide and you don't have a ton of resistance, you're okay. Once I'm here, I'm gonna lie on my back. This other leg typically is straight. I'm gonna load my heel onto this, and then it's essentially the same movement, because I'm gonna pull my leg in as far as I can. I'm gonna tilt one direction or the other without my knee moving. I'll slowly let that straighten. Same thing, I'm watching, because if it starts veering off, it's no good, right? Keeping this here, I'll straighten, I'll keep that, I'll pull back up, I'll try to keep that same level, and notice there's a difference between me being compressed and me being straight with the level that I can tilt my foot out, the amount of external rotation that I can get, right? Same thing for internal rotation. So I think about it like I'm actually cupping the outside of the range of motion my knee has, right? It's not going to be as great at the top or the bottom, but in the middle you'll notice that there's a lot of space typically, right? Or one end range, which in this case, this would be one end range. I have more. As I straighten, it's not quite as much, right? Pull in, exchange sides, slowly let down. And typically I'm going to rest my head back like this, but it's going to be harder for this to pick up the audio. So here, pull back in, and you'll find that this hamstring is curling this back, so we're getting more activation of the hamstring. You are going to feel the musculature inside the calf as well. So the fibrialis longus, you have a ton of muscles on the side here, but you're going to feel your calf muscles with this. So for either one, I'm typically doing 3 to 5 rounds, right? So if I did, and I'm not going to lay back for this, but if I'm here and I go down and up, that would be half. I would do the other side. That would be 1. I want to hit both external and internal with this. So that would be 1. I would do 3 to 5 per leg, okay? So that's going to be the knee cards. Let's go ahead and move over to terminal knee extensions. All right, so this is going to be the terminal knee extensions. Like I said, if I have a band, awesome. I'm going to tie it off onto something, the end of my table, whatever I can find to actually tie it onto. In terms of bands, I'll put some of these in the description so you guys can find some of these if you do want some. I highly recommend getting bands. They're very, very versatile. Once I have this, I'm going to slide my leg into it, and it's going to go inside my knee pit. I'm going to walk out to create whatever amount of tension that I want. If I want more, I can move back. If I want less, I can move forward. But once I'm here, my feet are directly underneath my pelvic bones, and all I'm going to do, I'm staying upright. I'm going to come to the ball of this foot, like this, and you notice the bend in my knee, and then I'm going to drive down through my heel, and as I drive down right there, I'm going to flex the inside of my quad, or just my quad in general. I'm going to tighten my quad, right? This specifically works in medialis, which is the inside part of my muscle here, but it actually just flexes the quad overall. So I'll come up, push it down and squeeze really, really tight. I'll actually squeeze my glute too, get this whole leg tight, loose, and then squeeze. Big thing here is I don't want me shifting. So as I come up, I don't want to have to shift my body. That's something that I see a lot. If that's the case and you're at the house, put a chair here so that you can hold on to something. Because if you're coming here and you have to buckle, we have a weakness on this side, okay? So let's give ourselves that chair for right now. So up, down, squeeze. I usually do a 2 to 3 second pause. Up, down, squeeze, 1, 2, 3, up, squeeze, 1, 2, 3. Here, I'm usually doing 10, 15, or 20. For this, easy rule of thumb is 10, right? But if you can challenge yourself to do 15 or 20, that's awesome as well. Now, if I have more resistance, I'm gonna go with the lower reps. If I'm gonna have less resistance, I'm gonna go with the higher reps with this. Now, if I don't have this band, how do I do this at home? Pretend I'm lying flat on the ground. I would put a pillow underneath the knee because it actually pushes me up, right? It pushes this knee up. Then I'm just going to drive my leg into that pillow. It's the same movement where I'm here, I'm gonna push down and squeeze, and then I'm gonna let it relax. So relaxed, the pillow is pushing my leg up. I'm gonna flex my leg against that and try and straighten my leg on top of that pillow. It won't fully straighten with the pillow or rolled up towel, but it'll get pretty close, okay? Now if it won't at all, you have too high of a pillow or you have too much in terms of that towel. So I would do the same reps with that, but that's the way that you could do it without the band here, okay? So that would be the second thing that I would do, and then let's move on to the third, which is just gonna be seated squats or box squats. All right, and then the last thing is gonna be box squats right here, or seated squat with this. So if I have a chair, perfect, right? So for this, easiest thing to do is just take a seat, right? Just have a normal seat first. Then we can do our setup. And for our setup, we want a little bit wider stance. I'm gonna check to see that my knee matches to the mid of my foot, right? Like this, and on this side. So if my knees are buckled like this, it's not matched, right? My knees are here. So if I push my knees out and I just look, we're good. Also notice that my feet aren't pulled back, because now my knee is going not necessarily to the mid of my foot, it's actually starting to drift over this way. I want it, so if you were to look at the side, and I'll showcase that here in a second, my shin is a vertical line, my knee is stacked over my heel, okay? But if I look here, I could trace this, it would end up in my midfoot. The other thing that's pretty common here is you may see that your foot is turned in. So now my knee is going that way and my foot is going that way. I don't want that. That's too bad of an angle. Now we're just twisting the knee and I don't want that. Good alignment, good alignment. Knees are pushed out. And the same thing, I'll showcase this from the side. We have two 90-degree angles. One is for my upper body with my thigh, because if I'm scooted forward like this, it's off. Or if I'm like this, it's way, way off. Or if I'm leaning too far back, it's off. I'm vertical, 90-degree angle. And then the second one was with my thigh here and my shin. Keeping these pushed out, deep breath in, reach, pull, boom, just like that. Now, in order to initiate this squat, so going back down, I'm gonna push my hips back. So sometimes with the RKC or the strong first, we'll see a karate chop movement, right? Which is here, karate chop, push back, back, back. I'll start to reach out, 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 push the knees out, and then I'll sit down and I'll check. Here, we have 90, we have two 90-degree angles. Good, good. Always check, right? Eventually you'll learn the movement, you'll have a better understanding, you can feel it, but for right now you need visual confirmation, I'm good. What I see a lot of when people try to do this is that they keep their pelvis tucked. So as they go to sit down, they're hesitant, we start to see this. And you'll end up here. Well, these aren't 90-degree angles, my knees are buckled, right? I'm too far forward. I have to make the correction, scoot back, we're good. Push out, squeeze. And at the top, I'm squeezing my glutes, I'm squeezing my quads, I'm tight, push back, down. So, let's look at this from the side. So, just have a seat. Feet situated, good, good. 90, so remember if I was buckled, no good. If I'm too far forward, no good. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm pretty close to 90, right? Good. Deep breath in, push, squeeze, tight. Hips go back, 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 push, 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 sit. Notice a couple different things. One, as I sit, it's soft. What we don't want, and this is where the body isn't strong enough, we see a lack of control with the movements. We'll go, and you'll flop down, right? You went from having control to not, and with that drop, you're letting everything relax, and we don't want that. I want to keep tension with my body, right? I want to keep that push out. I want to actually flex my body to make sure I control the descent, okay? That's one of the more common things that we see with this, with just that particular portion of the movement. And a lot of times we'll see a scooting forward to stand up, because the hinge, we don't have as much strength. For this movement, we're really using a lot of the hips and the glutes, okay, and the hamstrings. And that's a big muscle, specifically your hips and your glutes. And with that, we want to use that to actually propel us up. But for a lot of people, they're using the quads, which is putting excess strain on the knees, which is why I'm having you do this. Also, it's just going to warm up the knees. But here what we'll see is I'll see the worm up, right? I want it, so think about my shins here, they're not gonna go forward, right? As I'm here, I'm trying to keep it as if it's in an apparatus that is locking it in place. Drive out, squeeze. Are we gonna have a little bit of movement? Yeah, probably, right? What we shouldn't have though, even here, like this, back, 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 back. And notice I have lean to me, that's fine, that portion's fine. Even when I stand up, you're gonna have some, that's fine, right? I'm more concerned that this is where it needs to be on the bottom portion, right? Because that's gonna dictate what the rest of the movement's doing. So, here, boom. That's gonna be it. In terms of reps here, it's gonna be like terminal knee extensions. 10, 15, 20, right? Your choice with this. We could layer on other things. If I had bands, I could put bands around my knees, right? So we could do band squats. I can add weight, whatever it may be. But for the warm-up portion, I'm usually just gonna stick to the squats. And I like the box squat because it'll inform you where you are at with your freestanding squat. Because I can take this and translate it to just doing a squat here now. And then coming back up, right? Another thing, really quick side note, regardless of it being a box squat, whatever it is, toe lift. Lift up your toes and smash into the floor and hold them there. Common thing we'll see when people are lacking some mobility in areas is that we'll lift up the toes, try and pull ourselves up, or we go back and you'll see this, and that's why we fall. Lift up your toes, smash into the floor and hold them tight. By making that active, you'll have a better squat, you'll have more control. So, we had the knee cars, whichever variation you want to do, 3 to 5 reps. We had terminal knee extensions with the band or with the towel. We have 10, 15, or 20 reps. And then we had box squats right here, 10, 15, or 20 reps. 1 round for warm up. And that's just for anybody, I'm about to go outside and do some work and I know I have issues with my knees, or if I just want to warm my knees up in general. And then we have the post-rehab style where we're gonna do rounds with this. This is where I'm more into the training side, and I'm gonna do 3, maybe 4 rounds with this. If I'm still like maybe on a time crunch, if I still did 2, that's awesome, right? But I may make the knee cars a little bit harder by doing the slide pad version, or I may do the terminal knee extensions, but I'll back out a little bit so I have more resistance, right? Or I may add load or band to these squats with that. So that is gonna be it. If there's something that I need to explain more, definitely let me know in the comment section. I'll make sure that I answer it. That, or I'll shoot another video for you guys. So if you like the video, hit the like button for me. If you want to continue to follow along with all of my content, hit the subscribe button for me. Thanks so much for watching.